I'm here with my friend Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Andy. How are you today?
We are moving forwards, and today we're moving forwards to movie reviews, book reviews, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Um, where would you like to start? Because I like the fact that there's a plethora, a myriad of different things that we can have reviews on, whether it's movies classically or perhaps music or YouTube. Where would you like to begin?
Let's start this week. Why don't we start with music this week? Just for something new and different, or at least different. Um, I reviewed a track called Ordinary, and this is from a singer named Alex Warren. I would say he sort of sounds like he splits the difference between Ed Sheeran and Hozier, sort of an alt pop-ish, neo folk-ish, insert your term du jour here. Um, and he is singing about love. Shocker, right? And this is a song about his wife. And Warren is Catholic, and has talked about just describing himself as a Christian, which is great as far as it goes. And we see him really, really just praising his wife. Oh, my love, I take one look at you, you're taking me out of the ordinary. But where I think things get problematic is that he also appropriates a lot of biblical imagery in a way that I might say he misappropriates it. So, for example, he says, "At your altar I will pray. You're the sculptor, I'm the clay." And obviously, in the Old Testament, we get lots of references to God being the sculptor and we are the clay. But it's sort of an elevation of the goodness of romantic love almost into a place of worshipfulness. And I think that crosses the line. Like, as sweet as this song is, when we start taking descriptions of God and applying them to our spouse, I think that's problematic. So anyway, it's a different kind of problem than we sometimes see, and I suppose it's a good problem, and maybe, but yet maybe not a good problem. I mean, it's one of those songs I get done listening to, and I'm like, oh, that was really sweet, and that was not quite right. So it is called Ordinary. And again, it's by Alex Warren. And you can find our review of that at pluggedin.com.
I guess sometimes you listen to something, you think, well, that's okay, that's nice. And then one of the lyrics or the meanings, whatever, it sort of slaps you a little bit of is that right? Are we okay with
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, this is a little bit of a tangent, as you and I often take little forays into the forest before we come back to the trail. I mean, how many times have you been singing a song from your youth and you've known the lyrics for decades and you literally have never thought about the lyrics, right? Like, you've sung them. And I remember it was only a couple of years ago, and if we've talked about this, forgive me. Um, I was just humming along to Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners, right? And I'm listening, I'm like, Come on, Eileen. Oh, I swear at this moment you mean everything. Come on, let's take off everything. He's trying to talk her into taking her clothes off. What in the world? This fun little ska song that, everybody clapped along to in 19, whatever it was, 80, 82. I'm like, ah, this song is a disaster. But that's the way it is. And especially, I think, sometimes with stuff from our youth, it goes in, but we haven't really thought about it. So anyway, my little diversion. And now back to the main trail.
Absolutely. From music, where should we go?
Let's talk about the Thunderbolts. That is the big movie out this weekend. This is Marvel's latest movie. And the Thunderbolts are sort of a motley crew collection of cast off failed heroes and former assassins. And The story is they're all sort of independently recruited by a character that we met a couple of Marvel movies ago. And her name is Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. I have to like look at it and read it because it's a long name. She's played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she's kind of a bad egg. And she kind of gaslights all of them and says, go kill all the other assassins. And they get to this place and they're like, wait, she sent us all here to kill each other because we're a problem for her. So they sort of team up against her, and in the process, a bigger, badder villain called the Void shows up. And the Void has some pretty scary powers, actually. And so it really is about taking on those two real villains. So we get Florence Pugh reprising her role as Yelena Belova. We have, excuse me, David Harbour as Red Guardian. Those are probably two of the bigger ones. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. And so they're sort of the anti-Avengers. They don't have anybody who has godlike power or is indestructible like Thor or Hulk. It's just this sort of ragtag misfits still taking on evil. And so, in some ways, I think this is one of the better Marvel movies we have seen since the end of Endgame. Some nice messages here about family, about community, about grace, about accepting each other. And I would say it's got just a little bit more language than perhaps most Marvel movies have. So that's probably the biggest thing here. Pretty high body count for a Marvel movie, that superhero-ish kind of violence. But on balance, I would say a surprisingly sweet story within the context of all of these anti-heroes. So that is the Thunderbolts, or just Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, not the. Fine.
Not the. No, the.
No, that's fine. Thunderbolts was that's a Marvel film, the latest one. There's a few.
Yes, that's correct.
Is it like episode 19 or I've lost track
now.
now?
I think this is the 29th or 30th Marvel movie.
I was a bit underrating that one. Fine.
Crazy like that. Yeah.
Okay. Have you got one more for us?
Yeah. Should we talk about Monty Python?
Yeah, go for it.
So, at least here in the States, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is being re-released for some anniversary. I don't know whether it's the 30th or 40th or 50th or 60th. It came out in the 70s, so I guess it would be the 50th anniversary.
50th, yeah.
Which, as if I didn't feel old already, that gets the job done something fierce for me. So I would just let people know that we have a review up. If you have not seen it in a while and you think, I wonder if I could watch this with my child, you might want to check out our review because there could be things in there that you don't remember. And it's interesting, I can quote the Holy Grail practically end to end. I mean, my best friend and I watched it who knows how many times. And I think the thing, watching it from a plugged in perspective, you've got ribald humor, you've got some jokes that are pretty off color. But I think watching it again now, what stands out is, everything in the Middle Ages gets trashed. It's a satire of everything, but it certainly, I think it's fair to say that it's a satire of Catholicism. And, that was hardly the only place that Monty Python satirized religion. They did that in Life of Brian. They did it in, not History of the World. I'm totally blanking. One of their other big movies. And The Meaning of Life. Yeah, that's it. And I think it's pretty clear that they are coming from, I don't know, a position, a worldview that mocks Christianity largely. And so that stood out to me this time in a way that I'm not sure it did, watching it as a kid and memorizing all those lines. So again, sometimes when we return to something we're really familiar with and we watch it with fresh eyes, it becomes apparent that there are other things that we need to navigate here, especially, if somebody who is a younger member of our family is interested in watching it or engaging in it.
Cool. Perspectives change over time, though, I think, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. And And sometimes that perspective gives you, it really gives you a fresh set of lenses to look at something through. And our perspective changes. And again, as I've said over and over, a lot of that time, the stuff from our youth, we actually just don't remember the stuff that was there. And so we can be surprised, right? It's like, oh, I forgot about that part. So check out our full review of Monty Python and the Holy Grail at pluggedin.com.
Adam, as ever, thank you for your reviews. And yes, you've got many more than just those three. Do you know
Yes.
how many reviews you've actually got on the website now?
It's a lot. We've been going since 1999, and the magazine was going from 1991. I think it's between 11 and 12,000 bits of content. So I think it's in the neighborhood of 12,000.
Okay, so no
Yep.
excuse not to go visit the website because there's probably
No.
something on there to help you. Adam,
Yes.
thank you.
You bet, Andy. Thank you so much.